My heart is wounded, child. You come before me with such anguish upon your face. I assume you expected your riding instructor to go with her today to the gorge and continue your lessons riding the thermal plumes atop your Fangmora mount. Sadly, she is busy with another matter and will not be able to see you quite yet. Instead of having a day possibly wasted, I volunteered to use today to give you another important lesson. Do not worry, child. It won't be a lesson on history or coral tower design, but on war. Specifically, the forces employed by our people to fight our enemies or hunt for souls. I thought that would catch your interest. Take a seat, child, and let us begin. Now, as you know, child, our society is split into 3 castes, each one working together to bring prosperity to our people. At least, that's the idea. The truth tends to be less pleasant. Discussion of our social framework can wait another day. For now, just know that the structure of these 3 castes, the Arkelian, the Isharan, and the Namarti, extend to our forces. The Namarti. The Namarti, the most numerous of the elves within the enclaves, and the very reason we hunt for souls. And strangely, because of it, they are treated as lesser, spending their youth learning to see without eyes, while others born luckier learn combat or the intricacies of magic. Looked down upon because they are sustained through the souls of less enlightened races like Duardin and humans, or more destructive races like Ogors and Uroks. This bias against them forces most to live as servants and become collared like slaves. In many ways, the only true freedom for these Namarti is through combat. The Namarti thralls make up the bulk of our forces, using their Lanmari blades to cut down foes with sweeping and unstoppable blows, or holding the line as our other warriors attack from other angles. It is a thankless duty, and there are many casualties amongst the thralls, but they do not shirk their responsibility. They know that the souls captured will not only be used to extend their own sadly short existence, but will give life to the next generation of Namarti, allowing them and those like them to live just a little bit longer. Like many elves, the Idoneth Deepkin have perhaps too much pride. To us, enamored with the idea of cavalry as we are, the thought of becoming archers or rangers seems beneath us. We admit the usefulness of it, of course. Anyone who has seen a Wanderer's arrow's skills would be a fool to think otherwise. Still, it is regulated to those we consider lesser. While the thralls attack from the front, the reavers attack from the sides or are hidden away, shooting arrows into the vulnerable points of the enemy. And, like all Namarti, even though they cannot see, they can feel the changing pressures of the ether sea and the electrical signals of their enemies, allowing them to land shots with their whisper bows even sighted archers of other armies would find impossible. If forced, they may engage the enemy with their keening blades. But if the fight has gotten to that point, then something must be truly wrong. The Arkelian. When Teclis first forged our souls in the Age of Myth, he regaled our ancestors with stories of elven riders on noble steeds, charging the enemy with fiery lances and golden standards. It was a truly beautiful image. Even when we fled the gods' gaze and hid within the realm's oceans, that image stayed with us. And those that became the warrior caste, the Arkelian, made it their method of war. The most common of our riders, but no less deadly, are the Arkelian Guard, taking those images of noble knights and adapting them to the realm's oceans. Although they charge the enemy with fish tail instead of horse hooves, you will find their attacks are no less effective. The chosen mounts of these warriors are the Fangmora, deadly eel-like predators with snapping jaws. They streak towards the enemy with terrifying speed. Not only that, but they can generate a powerful electrical field that can be used to the rider's advantage. Now there are 2 styles of guard. The Vorsar Guard wield Volt spears, charging into the enemy and piercing them with the deadly metal weapons. When needed, they can channel the electrical nature of the Fang's Mora to unleash a burst of energy, turning more stubborn enemies into fried floating carcasses. The Ishlayan Guard have a more defensive method of war, using the electrical nature of the Fang Mora to enhance their Galv shields, forming an effective barrier against most attacks, allowing them to get close to the enemy and strike them down with curved swords known as Hell Sabers. Both of these guard formations are led by Loshian princes, veteran soul raiders. Their experience makes them great leaders and, in some cases, candidates for future kingship. If you see an especially charismatic and intelligent prince, make sure to befriend him or her. That person may be going somewhere one day, and there is no shame in knowing the right people. Now, you remember your father's lessons if you encounter Elopex in the wild, correct? If you see one swimming towards you, make sure a Namarti servant is in its way. It's cruel, but better than Namarti than one of the rare few with a functioning soul. Because, as you know, there are few things that can stop the charge of an Elopex. Once it senses prey, it won't stop until it tastes blood in its mouth. They are known as one of the ocean's fiercest predators for a reason. Still, through our magics, we have found a way to, if not tame, guide the bloodthirsty nature of the Elopexes. Although they still require a superbly skilled rider, they can make short work of most enemies with their rows of serrated teeth and bladed fins. We also place a ranged weapon atop their backs to give them a bit more punch. Either a razor shell harpoon to scythe down a group of foes, or a Rotarius net to slowly slice a single enemy apart in its grasp. A Leviathan is truly a sight to behold. At the vanguard of most forces, its thick hide and even thicker shell make it impossible for most foes to damage. They are further protected by the void drum upon its back. A masked Namarti beats upon the drum, the sound distorting the ether sea around it. The false reflections and flashing lights make it and the surrounding Idoneth Deepkin harder to shoot with ranged attacks. From a distance, the Archelian warriors on top of its back shoot their foes with a harpoon launcher, the beast's shell making a surprisingly stable platform. When it gets close, it uses its massive scythe fins and crushing jaws. It is said no prey can escape those jaws once they clamp down. To be an Archelian king is not only to be one of the leaders of an enclave, but to be a shining paragon that other Archelians strive to emulate. Your combat skills are above all others, and your martial tactics outwit the enemy at every turn. A lord of the very tides. Not only that, but you must also be skilled with wordcraft and diplomacy. Sitting alongside the Isharan as a member of the ruling council. In combat, the king rides upon a deep mare, a powerful but rare creature gifted to kings upon their ascension. The creature's powerful horn can pierce armor with ease, and its whipping tails turn their targets into bloody pulp. Atop his mount with his bladed pole armor greatsword, no being makes a more noble visage. The greatest of these kings, at least in my humble opinion, is High King Volturnus, one of the oldest Idoneth Deepkin, and said to have been one of the first elves crafted by Teclis in the Age of Myth. He has led the Ironrock Enclave with both masterful speechcraft and merciless tactics for as long as any one of us can remember. Perhaps one day I will tell you more about him. For now, just be thankful to consider him your king. The Isharan. The Isharan are those Idoneth Deepkin gifted not only with complete souls, but also magic, using such abilities to maintain the various spells necessary to sustain our underwater home. In war, these casters aid our warriors in the capture of souls and the annihilation of threats. You are probably smart enough to know that most animals cannot swim in the air as easily as they can swim in the sea. To allow such a thing to happen, one must use the power of the Tide Caster, able to summon an ether sea into being which allows our mounted forces to swim towards our enemies. In combat, they are not only able to cast magic spells, but unleash the anguish of our people upon our foe, an inkling of the suffering we received in our time in Slaaneish's belly, filling the enemy with feelings of despair, very distracting and in some cases, causing some of them to literally drown in anguish. For protection, they are able to unleash manifestations of ocean beasts, the murderous school of fish protecting them from harm with tiny but very sharp mouths. With the same skills that the engine seers of the Caradron overlords can map the sky, a soul scryer can map the soul. Their eyes can see through most defenses to see the feast of souls within. But not just any souls. They hunt the souls of heroes, villains, or those who are just naturally full of life. When those beings are pointed out to our forces, it causes a frenzied rush towards the target. Not through any magical means, but simply through the knowledge the soul is a prize worthy of any risk. When forced to fight, they can use their finger claws of Alopec's teeth, or when really desperate, their shoal of scryfish. The little ether fish are usually assigned to help point out prized souls, but they can do in a pinch if the soul scryer sees an enemy way too close for comfort. Unlike other Isharan, who tend to stay out of close-quarter fighting, the soul renders are trained to fighting close with the Namarti. This is due to their purpose, for attached upon their helm is a lure light, a device that absorbs the souls that were released from their previous owners. Not only does this lure light capture souls, but allows the soul render to use the souls captured to reinvigorate those Namarti who die on the battlefield. They use their hooked pole arms known as talon hooks to stab at foes while snaring those who try to escape. And if there is a particularly speedy foe, the soul render's loyal raker dart will chase after and stab the foe with a serrated bill. From the screams I've heard from its victims, it's very painful. You do not usually see the soul wardens on the battlefield. Their main purpose is to work at the Corylliums, cataloging the souls captured in raids, or tending the souls of our fallen who have passed beyond the mortal coil. However, there is one elf famous for his obsession with cataloging souls, Lotan. He not only travels with the armies of his home enclave, Iron Rock, but also frequently visits others, insisting he be there to ensure they gain the proper number of souls. And even the most stubborn and reclusive enclaves finds it very hard to say no to him. In battle, his very will strengthens the ether sea around him. His relentless drive to not miss a single soul and obtain his quota, driving those around him better than any general. And if the enemy gets close, his loyal Oktar familiar will make sure no one lays a finger on its charge, blocking blows with its variety of cudgels, blades, and tentacles. If you ever find yourself under his tutelage for whatever reason, make sure to check and recheck your notes before sending it to him for review. I've heard those he finds incompetent tend to find themselves assigned to less than pleasant duties. The Eidolon of Mathlan. Our people tend to idolize the elves of the world that was, imagining that they lived in peace in the ocean's depths under the wise and loving guidance of our now deceased god Mathlan. Of course, I doubt it was truly that serene, but it's a pleasant fantasy that gives most of our people a sort of strength. Through that fantasy, it creates a shared mental image of our past, an image shared by our deceased. As you know, when we die, we Idoneth Deepkin don't allow our souls to be sent off to Shaiish, to be played with by that so-called god of death Nagash, or worse, risk them being consumed by Slanesh, wherever that being may be. No. The spirits of our dead are sent to the Corylliums, to rest forever in the carefully crafted living coral reefs that reside near our enclaves, to slumber in peace. However, when the situation is dire, the spirits are roused. Using their energies, they call upon the power of our idealized past to aid the present. The soul's energies combining to form an Eidolon of Mathalon. Robed in a powerful storm shawl, it is the fury of the ocean made manifest. Now this Eidolon can come in two forms, depending on the mood of the spirits being roused and the environment they are summoned in. When the spirits are drenched with hate and want nothing more than to crash upon the enemy like a wave and destroy them utterly, they take on the aspect of the storm, the Eidolon wielding a Futhar, a spear of repressed fury, to rip apart an enemy. The spear also contains a cruel hook, to ensnare the foe and watch the unfortunate soul drown before his eyes. When the spirits are a bit calmer, the Eidolon takes on the aspect of the sea, Wielding its Psi Trident, or Deep Sea Scepter, it becomes a master magician, wielding the magic of the realms, while also scorching foes with blasts of abyssal energy. Its very presence can calm the minds of Idoneth Deepkin, while terrifying the enemy. It can also summon forth a cloying sea mist that heals his allies, but causes the enemy to succumb to a permanent slumber. Yes, child, I meant death. I was trying to be poetic. Well, that's enough for today. I can hear that your writing instructor is here. Apparently her errand didn't take as long as I thought. Very well. Go out into the sea and have fun, child. But take my lesson to heart. For one day, you too shall be amongst those riding the waves for the sake of our people. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on the forces of the Idoneth Deepkin, those soul-stealing elves of the depths. If you like it, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you really like it, please consider giving to my Patreon. With the extra money gives me the time I need to work on these stories that I love. Anyway, thanks for listening and see you next time.